Hello everyone, I'm Beth Durham and I'm the Director of Operations for the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge. Many of you already know me as Mama Beth, and I'm proud to play that role. It is also my honor to be part of the organization which helps to carry on the legacy of my late husband, the founder of the challenge, Jim Red Cloud. Most of you didn't have the privilege of meeting Jim, but he would be proud of each and every one of you for staring this challenge in the eye and saying, hell yes. Jim was a staunch traditionalist and set high value on any warrior who's willing to put himself on the line for the benefit of the people. So anyone who's riding for a charity this year, in spite of COVID, would have his deep and abiding respect. As most of you know, 2020 is the 10th year for the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge, and it has taken no small amount of perseverance to reach this point in our operation. And the 2020 challenge has already been one for the books, which explains the need for this video recording. Due to COVID restrictions, riders must watch both the terms and conditions and the safety portions of this briefing online. The live briefings in Panama City Beach will be broken up into groups of 50 in order to field questions and confirm policies and procedures. While the live briefings will be completely optional, I will need you to make comment on the online video briefings in order to certify that you have watched them both. Not only will this year's ride challenge returning riders, but also a large number of new riders eager to test their mettle. As Hoka riders, we always say, expect the unexpected. And that phrase applies itself more earnestly in this challenging year than any year before. Be flexible. If the stress of the ride and the stress of COVID become too great, don't let it push you over the edge. We can face this, and we can work our way through it with pride and dignity because we are Hoka. Some of you don't know what that is yet, but you will. Momas Gomet. I will see this through to the end.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Steve Briscoe. I am Hoka Rider 779. I'm also the Director for Logistical Operations for the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge. I am the guy you love to hate while you're out there on the road trying to figure out the directions you've been given. And it's not a one-man show. There are several of us on the board of directors. We have Beth, who is the co-founder and chief of operations. We have Annie, who is operations and legal advisor. We have Junie, who is rider relations. We've got Gary, also known as Blackie, who is our event coordinator. Eric, who manages our merchandise. And we have John Livens, who is the risk management officer. And then myself. The Hoka Motorcycle Challenge is a major undertaking with a rather lengthy list of rules. You can hide from the rules, and you can even run from the rules. But it's not going to matter because the rules are still going to be there. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about the terms and conditions of the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge. If you have any questions about the terms and conditions, give Beth a call. Here's her phone number and here's her email address. Throughout the terms and conditions, there are terms that are used and they all have meaning. Should, must, shall, will be some of those.
But sir, I don't understand.
I'll explain it to you.
So should donates a guideline or recommendation whenever non-compliance with the specifications is permissible. When used as an auxiliary verb, it expresses a conditional or contingent act or state, a moral obligation. You should do the right thing. Must is the word that imposes a legal obligation. It identifies a mandatory requirement. You must pay your taxes. Shall, within a legal document, is used to say that something must be done, as opposed to the term may, which simply means that something is allowed. You confused yet? Well, wait till you hear this. The Supreme Court of the United States ruled that shall really means may. Quite a surprise to attorneys who were taught in law school that shall means must. In fact, must is the only word that imposes a legal obligation that something is mandatory. So there.
I beg of you to make him stop.
Okay, we'll pass on the rest of that. Suffice it to say, if the document says should, must, shall, oughta, might wanna, you oughta, you ought not, then take heed and comply. It's pretty simple stuff, really. Here's our agenda. Out of respect for others, we are going to do our very best to not spread COVID. We're going to ride safely. We're going to obey the speed limits. We're going to not drink and do drugs while we're riding. Zero tolerance there. You need to honor your family and your friends who are supporting you by not riding while fatigued. You're going to be trackable. You need to ride and act with integrity. Have the ability to receive text. Be good ambassadors for the HHMC Motorcycle Challenge. And have compassion for Mama Beth's poor nerves. If you know Mama Beth, you know there's a reason we call her Mama Beth. She worries about us while we're out there. And if you do anything that adds to her stress or compounds her worry, she's got about 600 older brothers who are going to want to know the reason why. So, keep that in mind as you're out there on the road, not doing what you're told. If you're sick, stay home. For those of you who know me, probably know how I feel about all this. If you walk into my house wearing a face covering, yeah, I'm probably going to laugh at you. If I walk into your house and you want me to wear a face cover, out of respect, I am going to wear a face cover. As an American, you have a right not to wear a mask. But, just like you, businesses and other individuals have a right to not let you near them or not to serve you if you do not wear a face cover.
And stay out of the Woolworth.
You can't have it both ways. You're free to make a choice, but that means accepting the consequences of your actions. Screaming at employees and businesses for protecting their workers and customers does not make you a patriot. It makes you an idiot. Don't mistake inconvenience for oppression. If you walk into a business, any type of establishment, whether it be a restaurant, gas station, dealership, and they request that you wear a face cover, then please wear a face cover. If you do not follow the guidelines, nobody's going to remember your name, but they will remember HHMC. So please, act accordingly, show some respect, wear a face cover when required. Use proper hand washing, personal hygiene, physical distancing. The CDC website here shows you the current status for the states that we're going to be riding in. And if you have not already received one, you will receive an updated Medicine Show LLC waiver that you will need to sign and get back to Beth just as quickly as you can. During the HHMC Challenge, you need to travel at your own risk. We don't know what's going on out there. Each state has its own little gig going on, their own set of rules, their own set of guidelines. We really don't know what to expect while we're out there.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind.
So be flexible, and here again, act respectful. Rules of engagement. You are solely responsible to operate your motorcycle in a safe manner. Now that entails a lot. No speeding, no drinking, no illicit drugs. Even using prescribed prescriptions can be a problem if those prescriptions make you drowsy. Adhere to this prescribed route as written in the driving directions. What you see here is an excerpt from previous year's driving directions. The first column tells you what leg you're on. A, obviously first leg. You're going to be B, C, and D for second, third, and fourth legs. The turn number, 41, 42, 43, that's the particular turn for this set of directions. And we put that on there so that if there is a problem, if there's an accident or there is a detour, you can call Operations Center and say, hey, at A47 there's a detour, or there is an accident, or there is a washed out road, or hey, the turn at A49 put me on a gravel road. The first line stating at 35, not necessarily exactly 35 mile, but pretty close, within 1 or 2 or 3 mile either direction. But it says less than 50 as in A44, then that means it's probably somewhere between 45 and 50 mile. But obviously greater than 50 would be anywhere between 50 and 55 miles. And then obviously the turn, which direction, go straight, left, right. And then, of course, what road you're going to go onto. The road you're going to turn on may have multiple routes listed. For example, A41, the first line, says at 35 mile, go straight on US 67 or Farm Maintenance Road 1776. then you go for 50 miles. That does not mean you're going to be 50 mile on Farm Road 1776. Your main focus is US 67. That additional information within the parentheses is just information to help you find that specific turn or that specific waypoint. Once you're on that road, don't worry about Farm Maintenance Road 1776. The same way with A47 at less than 1 mile, turn left on Farm Maintenance 170 O'Reilly Street. You're not going to travel 75 mile on O'Reilly Street, obviously, so your main focus is Farm Maintenance Road 170. Any moving violation, including but not limited to speeding,
Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do.
failure to signal, improper lane change, etc., weaving in and out of traffic, will be grounds for automatic disqualification from eligibility to receive awards. Challengers may continue to participate in the event, however, they will no longer be eligible to receive a finisher recognition awards or prizes. You must comply with all applicable laws and regulations of the state, county in which you are traveling. You must carry your cell phone with you with the capability of receiving texts. The organizers will from time to time send you communications through this media. You need to check your phones every time you stop. If you want to mount your phones on the handlebars, that's fine, but they cannot be used as navigation aids, and it should not block your view as a rider. A few other things to discuss. 240 hours minimum, meaning participants shall not reach the finish line in anything less than 240 hours. That'd be 10 days for y'all that went to public school. Obviously, do not use your phones or any type of devices while riding. Feel free to call home. I recommend that you do regularly. Let everybody know you're all right. Obviously, carry a current driver's license, registration, and insurance. No substitutions, meaning you cannot have your cousin Daryl meet you 1,000 miles down the road and ride for you. You have to do the ride yourself. Hotels, GPS, outside assistance, bad form. Follow the route. If you get off route, if you make a wrong turn, it doesn't matter if you go 2 miles out of your way or 200 miles out of your way, you have to go back to where you made your mistake and get back on route before you can continue on.
Hey, wait a minute. Since when is Pismo Beach inside a cave?
I wonder, I just bet we should have turned left at Albuquerque.
You can cut cross country to get back to where you made your mistake, but you cannot cut cross country and get back on the route. You have to go back to where you made your mistake. Abide by all speed limits, laws, and mandates set forth by states you're traveling to. We discussed that. Comply with all applicable laws and regulations of the state, county in which we are traveling. Specifically, laws relating to the safety of your motorcycle and laws relating to the possession or use of alcohol, drugs, or other prohibited substances. This is a biggie. Do not drink or use illicit drugs while riding. We have a zero tolerance. Zero tolerance means exactly that, a zero tolerance. Use of alcohol or illegal drugs is grounds for disqualification and may result in the rider being asked to leave the event. U.S. Fleet Tracking has the ability to monitor your speed. We are not going to dog you and watch your speed, but U.S. Fleet Tracking will send us speed alerts. If you ping a certain mile per hour, and we have yet to determine what that mile per hour is, but we will let you know before departure, then U.S. Fleet Tracking will ping us and let us know that you have exceeded that mark.
You must be in a hell of a hurry, huh, Sheriff? Bet your ass on that, boy.
If you get too many pings, you will get a call. A phone call is not a good thing. You are responsible for know the laws and mandates and follow them based on CDC, as well as the laws and mandates of each state we ride through. If it is your intent to carry a weapon, HHMC Motorcycle Challenge is not going to search you, is not going to validate your carry permit. If you want to carry a weapon, that is entirely up to you, but it is your responsibility to know that some of the states you're going to ride into may not recognize your carrier permit. So be mindful of that. Honor your family and your friends who are supporting you by not riding while fatigued. During the safety video, we'll talk about the need to rest 4 hours every 24 hours. If you do not do this, we are not going to hound you. We're not going to harass you. You know your sleep requirements. You know your limits. By design, Hoka will push your limits. But if we see that you're riding extended time without rest, chances are Beth is going to contact you. There are no advantages of riding fatigued. There are multiple disadvantages. The majority of Hoka crashes and fatalities have resulted from rider fatigue. This can be considered reckless riding. Here again, be trackable. Call Josh at US Fleet Tracking, tell him you are with the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge, and he will hook you up. He'll provide instructions on how to install the unit. You can take it to your dealership. I recommend you call previous Hoka riders if you're unsure how to install the unit and get some advice.
Good idea.
What the hell you know?
If your US Fleet Tracker goes down, chances are somebody's going to give you a call. You will be able to swap out the tracker at checkpoints. And again, US Fleet Tracking is going to provide us speed alerts and start-stop times. Have integrity when it comes to the rules of engagement. Now we've got all these rules, guidelines, mandates, the should, mays, shalls, must. But the simple fact is, once you cross the starting line, you can pull over the side of the road and buy yourself a gas can. You can turn on your GPS. You can contact your family and say, hey, help me out. These are all things that you can do, but that lacks integrity. That is not Hoka. So please, if you want to get the full benefit of the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge, do not use a GPS unless it's an emergency. Do not stay in a hotel, again, unless it's an emergency. And do not carry an extra gas can. That's just dangerous. Do not compete with other riders, and do not engage support teams. Support teams cannot assist you along the route. Support teams can meet you at the checkpoints and provide moral support. They cannot provide maintenance on your motorcycle. They cannot provide you with any assistance that would possibly give you an edge over other riders. There are protest procedures available to you. If somebody accuses you of something, there are protests that you can implement to have your case heard. Or if you see somebody violating safety standards, safety rules, then you can contact the Operations Center and let us deal with that. Do not share the driving directions online or with family. We've had riders in the past have taken pictures of the directions, provided to their families. Then the family will call them when they're getting close to a turn. They'll just keep track of them and help them along the route. That's just bad form. We talked about this quickly. Here's the text number. You need to add this to your contacts. If a text comes to you that's specific to you, then please respond. You are going to be getting broadcast texting, which is basically warnings, cautions, notices that go out to all riders. You will not be able to reply to these messages. If you or another Hoka rider is involved in an accident, please contact the Operations Center as quickly as you can, as quickly as is practical. And if you must leave the route, then by all means let us know and let us know the reason why. Be good ambassadors for the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge. Checkpoints owe you driving directions and a sign-in sheet. They don't owe you anything more than that other than what you would get from a normal dealership during normal hours. If you need maintenance, whether it be a service, you have an electrical problem, a fuel problem, a vibration problem, whatever the case is, please call ahead to the checkpoint so they can be ready for you, especially if you're going to show up in the middle of the night. In past years, the checkpoints would open up for a 72-hour period when the first rider hit their drive. This year is different. There's going to be 3 very specific days that each checkpoint will be open to help accommodate the majority of the riders that will be riding through during those 3 days. If you are a front runner and you arrive at a checkpoint early and it's the middle of the night, don't expect them to be open. They will have available to you the driving directions and a sign-in sheet because they're tracking you just like we are. If you need service, then you'll need to wait till they open the next morning. If you arrive during that 72-hour period, morning or night, like I say, contact them and let them know what type of service you need, whether it be just an oil change, you need tires, there's a fuel problem, electrical problem, In the middle of the night, they have their techs there to do the majority of the work. They're not going to have their specialist there for a 72-hour period. If you need a specialist, you need to call ahead and let them know so they can accommodate that. The public owes you nothing. Be courteous and obey all local laws as well as COVID-19 restrictions. Leave no trace, meaning don't litter. Conducting fundraisers on behalf of a charity. Individuals participating in the 2020 Hoka Motorcycle Challenge are encouraged to conduct fundraising events on behalf of a charity. It is the sole responsibility of the participants to amass pledges and ensure pledged funds are submitted directly to their charity of choice. Hoka Motorcycle Challenge has no dealings with your charity, collecting money, or validating that the money was given to the charity. That is entirely up to you. We do need for you to let us know what the final dollar value was of what you donated to the charity. If you have any questions about this, you can either contact Beth or contact the charity. The Memorial Cup and Wallakota Dance Sticks. There are no cash prizes for any rider participating in the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge. A Memorial Cup will be awarded to the first rider to cross the finish line, who followed all the rules pertaining to the route, attitude, and personal conduct. What that means is you might be the first guy to cross the finish line, but you know what? You were a jerk. You're not going to win the cup. Key phrase here, followed all the rules pertaining to the route, attitude, and personal conduct. The Memorial Cup remains the property of the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge, but will be retained by the recipient until the next challenge, when it will be awarded again at the next event. And of course, the rider shall accept responsibility for all shipping costs associated with delivery and return of the cup. In addition, a selection process will be held to identify and recognize 4 riders who best exhibit the spirit of Wallakota. To ride with Wallakota during the Hoka Challenge means riding with respect, honor, integrity, and compassion. All participants are encouraged to share stories of their experience during the event and to nominate potential trophy recipients. The Hoka Motorcycle Challenge Board of Directors do not arbitrarily pick 4 riders to win these 4 awards. These riders are picked by you, their fellow riders. So if you see things out there, if you see respect, honor, integrity, compassion portrayed by our fellow riders, then we need to know those stories. These 4 awards do not correlate with arrival times, nor are they tied to only finishers. You can be a non-finisher, meaning you had to go home. You can be a non-finisher because you had, heaven forbid, an accident, but you can still be awarded one of these 4 awards because of your respect, your honor, your integrity, or your compassion while you were out there. Here again, to be eligible for recognition and/or awards, the report from your tracking device must indicate you adhere to the prescribed route, and you may be required to sign a certification which attests that you did not receive any movie violations and that you adhered to the terms and conditions while participating in the event. Logos and intellectual property. You agree to have the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge logo and official event sponsor stickers attached to your motorcycle during the entire event. You are not entitled to deface, cover up, or otherwise obscure such stickers and shall endeavor to keep them clean and visible at all times. Except as outlined above, you shall not be entitled to use the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge logo for any purpose whatsoever on any website or in printed materials without obtaining the prior written consent of the organizer. You cannot alter the logo. You cannot use the logo on a business card, on a flyer, without the written consent of the organizer. Registration is going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The earlier you get there, the earlier we can get you registered. There are several things that need to take place during registration. So if you get an appointment for 2 o'clock, you need to be there at 10 minutes till 2.
Say, by the way, what time have you got now? I'd like to sympathize our watches.
If you miss an appointment, it is quite possible you will go at the end of the line.
Got a watch? Not me. I left mine home. Mine's broke.
Do not show up sometime Thursday, banter about for 2 days, and then expect to register Saturday afternoon. Please, we need your assistance on this. We need your help. Get registered just as quickly as you can. During the registration process, there is going to be a safety inspection that's going to check your tires, your odometer, your lights, your brakes, your turn signals, pretty much every safety feature on your motorcycle. We will not quarantine motorcycles once they are inspected. We are not going to search your motorcycle for contraband. If during inspection your tires lack tread, or your lights do not work, or your brakes are a little faulty, then these faults will need to be repaired before you can pass inspection and before you depart for the challenge. So, questions about these terms and conditions, call Beth. There's your phone number. And if you recall, we put the email address at the very first slide. Rather than go back, just look right here. See right there? See this going by? That thing right there, that's Beth's email address. I can make it go by a second time if you want. See, there it goes. There it goes. Call us. Let us know what's going on. We sincerely hope to see you out there. We sincerely hope that you ride safe. And we sincerely hope that the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge is everything that you expected it to be. Sadly, I won't be there, but my brothers and sisters will be. Take care of each other. Look out for each other. Be mindful of each other. Out here. Period. So if you need a specialist, you need to let them know before you go up. If you need a specialist, you need to call ahead and let them know. There are some terminologies, some words used, some throughout the terms and conditions. There are terms used throughout.
And the 20
it expresses a condition when used as an auxiliary verb. It expresses a conditional or contingent act or state. Must is the only word that imposes a legal obligation to tell somebody. Must is Hey, how you doing? My name is Steve Briscoe. I'm Hokahay Rider 779. I'm also the Director for Logistical Operations for the Hokahay Motorcycle Challenge Board of Directors. Due to COVID physical distancing requirements, the briefings that are normally provided the day before departure are going to be provided through social media via this video and others like it. It is not our intent to insult anybody's intelligence. The information you're going to hear during this briefing is information you already know. However, we feel obligated to provide it anyway. It is our hope you take heed to these words and apply them when you're out there during this upcoming challenge. So, that being said, what say we get started? The 2020 Challenge Safety Brief, 9,500 unforgiving miles. Allow me to read this for you, please. Your involvement with the Hokahay Motorcycle Challenge, along with the submittal of your signed terms and conditions, constitutes an understanding that riding this event is risky business, and you, as a rider or spectator, accept all responsibility and risk associated with this event. Contrary to what you might think, the Hokahay Motorcycle Challenge is not a race. Let me say that again. It is not a race. It is an endurance event that will exceed 9,500 miles that is designed to pitch you against your machine and your ability to follow directions as they are laid out before you. It is not an event designed to put you up against another rider. It is not an event to put you up against an arbitrary set amount of time. It's not something to take lightly, and likewise, it is in your best interest to do all you can to reduce the risk of calamity. Quick agenda. At present, it is our intent to proceed as planned and depart Sunday morning, but there may be some variations on how we depart. And honestly, some of those decisions will not be made until literally the morning of, because rules are changing daily.
It's terrible. I know it.
There are many states out there that have published decrees stating that if you're coming from a particular state they consider high risk, you will need to quarantine or be subjected to a restriction of movement for 14 days. There are some caveats to that. Meaning if you're just passing through the state, then these rules do not apply. However, the bad thing about rules is they are subject to interpretation. One official may see this as, hey, Hokahay is passing through, no big deal, keep on trucking. Another one might say, you know what, you just came in from a high-risk state, you need to be restricted for 14 days. So be prepared to enter into the unknown, because honestly, that's what it is.
All right, you'll get a chance to tell your story at headquarters.
We ain't going no place till we get a pulmonary hearing.
You need to carry a face mask with you wherever you go. If you walk into a gas station, a restaurant, dealership, any establishment, you need to put the face cover on. There are states out there that are imposing some pretty stiff penalties for walking around without a face cover. So do yourself a favor and wear a face cover. Sleeping in public areas has not been a problem in past years. Occasionally we've had a rider rousted. This year may be a little bit different. I do not anticipate problems out west in the wide open spaces. Chances are you're going to lay down, go to sleep for 4, 5, 6 hours. Nobody's going to see you. You get into the more congested areas, Pennsylvania, New York, New Hampshire, that's going to be a different story. It's going to be a little bit harder to find a place where you're out of sight, so you just need to act accordingly. Protest, demonstrations, we have endeavored to steer clear of all the major cities. That does not mean that a protest or a demonstration won't flare up in a small town of 2,000, 3,000, or 300. If the directions take you into a town and you see a protest forming or one in full swing, peaceful or not, turn around and leave. Do not try to ride through it. Do not try to skirt around it. Certainly don't get involved with it. Just turn around and leave. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but pull out the GPS, route yourself around the city, call Beth, let her know what's going on, and then she'll get a hold of riders that are coming up behind you. Bottom line is, do not get involved with the protest. Don't get wrapped up in things that you don't want any part of. Riding is risky business. We know it, we accept it, we ride anyway.
Whoa.
Oh, God damn it!
Bottom line, don't flirt with disaster. It's risky enough. There is absolutely no reason to add to the risk. Complacency kills. This graphic here shows the states and their helmet laws. This is as of 2018. I am not privy to any state that has changed helmet laws in the past 2 years. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It's your responsibility to know what the laws are in the states that we ride through. Weather, we all know that when it starts to rain, it is most dangerous. That film of oil right in the center of the road, the white lines in the crosswalks, manhole covers, cattle guards, any metal plate in a construction site, when they are wet, turns into a little ice skating rink. So cater the approach. Cattle guards, same way. They are mostly 90-degree angle to the highway, and there's usually a sign to let you know they're coming. But even still, be mindful, especially if they're wet. Railroad tracks, if they are just a little bit higher than what the road is, cross them at less than a 90 degree, and they're wet, it could end badly. Maintain situational awareness, watch the signs, cater the approach. Hot weather, opposite end of the spectrum. We got road snakes out there. We all know what they are. Dueling down the highway, roll into this nice sweeping right-hand turn, and then whoop, you hit a road snake. That hot tar that's filling a crack. Lots of loose gravel, dirt. They are a mainstay for secondary roads in a lot of places. So here again, just be mindful of that. Maintain situational awareness when you're going around curves. Hot wind, sand. You're going to get in the deserts out there, and sand is going to get in your eyes. The best thing to do is have some wraparound glasses or goggles. Dehydration is going to be a big problem. If you do not carry 2 bottles of water at all times, you're wrong. 4 bottles is better. Cold weather, frost, ice, snow, sleet, hail, cold rain. Water starts to freeze at about 37 degrees. So if you've got a crosswind and the roads are wet and it's dipping below 37 degrees, have a tendency to form what's called ice fingers that stretch across the road. It'll end your day. So just be mindful of that. Hypothermia is going to be a problem. If you're out there riding, you get wet and it's cold, stop and change your clothes. You're not Superman.
Superman, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men.
Stop and change your clothes. Wear a rain suit. Prevent yourself from getting hypothermia. Now here's the thing. You're going to run into those, all of them in one day. Wake up in the morning, it's frosty, 40 degrees. You get tooling down the road, starts to warm up. Hey, this is nice. Then you get up in the high country, drops down to 35, 39. Then you slip back down the other side, maybe go through some hail or sleet, certainly some cold rain. Get down the other side to the desert, jumps to 110, sand starts blowing around. Both ends of the spectrum. Good times. Obstacles. Obviously, vehicles are our biggest obstacle, but oddly enough, they have as much right to be there as we do. Go figure. If you come up on Bubba's truck, Bubba is hauling Bubba Jr.'s furniture from one apartment to another.
Well, my Chuck. Bye, Louie. I'll see you, Louie. Thanks, Dave. Good luck.
We got about 5 hours of daylight. By nightfall, we should clear the Bowery.
Sun up is coming. Louie, get run.
Got that truck loaded down with everything. The lawn chairs, you got coffee tables, you got end tables, you got couches, cushions, baby carriage, a couple of frisbees. Doing down the road, that stuff bounces around, it's going to bounce out. So just be mindful. You come up on Bubba's truck, get around him as quick as you can, or get way back and turn on the video and wait for the fun to start. Pieces of truck tires scattered out throughout the road. Those are a big nemesis for us, big obstacle. Can, if at nighttime, put you on your bones. Glass, dead animals, roadway concrete that's loose, asphalt that's loose. Potholes seem to be getting worse and worse and worse every year. Got the construction sites are done for the day, but they got this great big hole in the middle of the road. They put this great big iron plate across this hole. The more cars that drive over it, the more mud that's scattered on that metal plate. Starts to rain, turns in here into a little ice rink. Your best defense is space between you and any potential obstacle. Prudent speed and perceptive reaction. You need to be skilled in emergency maneuvers, but that's kind of a catch-22. To get skilled in emergency maneuvers, you need to have found yourself in multiple emergencies and been able to maneuver out of them. So it's not something you really want to train on intentionally. Okay, this little video pops up here. If you're headed west early in the morning or headed east late in the afternoon and you see this, then that means that the vehicles coming your direction will not see you. Those vehicles turning left in front of you will not see you. Those vehicles that's coming up to an intersection and turn out in front of you, they will not see you. This is the time of day when you pull off the side of the road, relax, take some pictures of the sunset or the sunrise, depending on which end of the day you're at, and relax just for a little bit until that sun is either completely down or completely up. Assume every vehicle out there is out to get you. Now you might consider that paranoia, but if everybody's out to get you, then paranoia is just a good strategy. You ever think of that? Bottom line, always maintain some maneuver room and always have an escape route. Animals, large and small, they're everywhere. You know, elk, moose, deer, horses, dogs, cats. The jackrabbits of 2016, they're still out there waiting for us.
What's up, Doc?
Expect a critter around every turn. Late in the day, sun's going down, critters get active, go around a curve, there's a family of deer. Out west, you're going to come across some open ranges. It is not at all uncommon to see cattle in the road. They belong there. Lower your speed a little bit. It's best to take your time around the curvy twisties in the evenings than it is to try to make up some time and end up losing everything. As I said before, always maintain an escape route when riding in traffic. Stay out of the blind spots. Cagers are totally oblivious to motorcycles. They're going to glance in their mirror, maybe a half a second, not going to see a thing, and they're going to change lanes. So stay out of the blind spot, because they're not going to know you're there. Most crashes happen because of fatigue and excessive speed, and failure to maintain situational awareness. Some of these figures here are again from 2018 from the National Transportation Safety Board, but I don't suspect they've changed much. 43% of all crashes between motorcycle and automobile happen when the cager turns left. 35% motorcycle riders involved in fatal accidents were speeding. So here again, keep speed down. Watch out for the cager. Some accidents can be avoided as long as tires have proper inflation and a proper amount of tread. And your reaction time is not impaired. We're going to discuss that a little bit later. Now here again, most single bike accidents result from a failure to properly negotiate a turn. We've all seen the Tail of the Dragon videos where scooter's tooling down a twisty and then they'll just all of a sudden just right off over the edge. There's a reason for that. You're going through a left-hand turn and you look right. The body's designed to go where you're looking. So look at where the bike needs to go, not what's off to the right or off to the left. You've seen all those photos of people involved in accidents in Tail of the Dragon? Those usually happen because the rider glanced off to the left or right to look at the camera or to wave. And they lose situational awareness, or they get complacent. Complacency kills.
But you know what'll happen if there are any more accidents, don't you? I hate to think of it. Then be careful.
Tread. If your tire is like the tire on the right, you're wrong, and you're flirting with disaster. There's a purpose for tread. When you get down to the wear lines, you need to change tires. When you get close to the wear lines, you need to change tires. Tire on the left, obviously, more tread. Why do we need tread? To divert the water. The more rain you have, the deeper tread is required to divert the water. If you have no tread, the water really has no place to go, and you're going to start to hydroplane. So, if you've got a little bit of tread and a lot of water, you're going to hydroplane. You reduce your speed, cater the approach, maintain situational awareness, and don't get complacent. Dry rot is really not an issue for a Hoka Hay rider. We'll go through a set of tires every year, sometimes 2 or 3. You're certainly probably going to go through a set of tires during the challenge. The only time I would see dry rot as being an issue is if you purchased a motorcycle specifically for the challenge. It's 5, 6 years old, got 4,000 miles on the bike. I'm sure you got it for a great price, but those tires are 5, 6 years old. And depending on how that motorcycle has been stored, it may be in the beginning stages of dry rot. Change the tires, all right? Inflation, not the money kind, the air kind, is a happy medium. Too much inflation, and your tire just becomes a great big basketball that bounces rather than grips. You get too little inflation, then your tire gets mushy and you have a hard time cornering. So there's that happy medium. Just follow the recommended manufacturer's suggested pressure for your tire. It's a no-brainer. Sleep deprivation. That is going to be your constant companion. With sleep deprivation comes lack of attention span, memory loss, degraded reaction time, impaired judgment, impaired reasoning and problem-solving ability, blurred vision, and hallucinations. You might not think you can hallucinate out there, but you can. Talk to every Hoka Hay rider out there, and they're going to tell you stories. None of these stories are true, but they are, because everything they tell you they saw with their own eyes. I will go to my grave believing there are 2 dragons that live in northern Minnesota. I saw them with my own eyes. Some people think it's like a badge of honor to ride for 30, 40 hours without stopping. Maybe it is, but have you ever been asked by anybody to show you your badge of honor?
Where are your badges? Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
We're Hoka Hay. We don't need no stinking badges. You need to endeavor to sleep a minimum of 4 hours a day. Every 24 hours, sleep 4 hours. And this is contiguous 4 hours, not an hour here, hour there, but 4 contiguous hours. Gets you into that REM sleep. Your body needs that. You go 4, 5, 6 days on 4 hours a night, you're still going to have the same problem, so you need to do a solid 8 hours about every 4th or 5th day. This is going to reduce the blurred vision. It's going to reduce the hallucination. If you're tooling down the highway and you start to see the dragon, then you need to stop. Not in 10 mile, not in 20 mile, not in 5 mile, but right now. Do not flirt with disaster. Do not flirt with sleep deprivation. Let's look at it this way. You can either stop and do 4 hours of sleep, get your mind right, your body right, or you can keep riding, make a mistake, and waste 4 or 8 hours because you went the wrong way. You choose. Lack of sleep will adversely affect your reaction time and cognitive ability. 2 separate things. The longer you go without sleep, the more your reaction time increases. Let's say your reaction time is increased by 1/10 of 1 second. That's 10 feet, going 65 miles an hour. Let's say 3/10 of a second is your reaction time now. That's 30 feet. But added to that the cognitive ability for your brain to determine is something a threat, and that might add another 2/10 of a second. So now you're at a half a second. You do the math. So now you're at a half a second. That's 50 feet that you've gone and you haven't done anything. Let's say your reaction time is reduced by 2/10 of a second. That's 20 feet going 65 miles an hour. And let's say your cognitive ability that ability to see an object and determine it is a threat is 0.2 of a second. That's 0.4 of a second. That's 40 feet. A lot can happen in 40 feet. Could be the difference between missing a dog and hitting a dog. Don't rely on stimulant drinks or energy drinks. They're going to give you a jolt. Yeah, it might take you down the road a little bit longer, but then your body's going to come crashing down. And in the long run, they're really not that much help. That's personal opinion. Take that for what it's worth. And I'm going to say this multiple times. That we have zero tolerance for alcohol. Do not rely on alcohol to keep you rolling down the highway. That's just bad form. Sleep deprivation is going to increase the likelihood of target fixation and the Troxler effect. The simple fact of the matter is these are both bad things, and they are going to affect, here again, your reaction time. Sleep deprivation is going to reduce the ability to perceive a threat or a hazard. If you're groggy, doing it on the highway at night, maybe half hallucinating, that dog you see on the highway, your brain's not going to register it as a threat, and chances are you're going to hit the dog. So don't mess with sleep deprivation. Get your 4 hours a day. Along with that, you need to eat right. I am not a nutritionist. I don't know what eating right is. Ask my wife.
Oh, what's the use?
Una.
But I do know living on gas station hot dogs for 2 weeks is not a good thing. You need to drink plenty of water. You need to eat at least one good meal a day, and that's go into a restaurant sit-down meal where you can relax, stretch your legs, drink a cup of coffee, if you drink coffee. And you need to plan an average number of miles per day so you can reach that 95,000 mile in 12 days. What can I say? Ben Shapiro, he's got people that do this stuff for him. I got nobody. I got me, so just deal with it. Pick an average number of miles per day to reach your 9,500 mile in however many days you want this to take. 11 days, 12, 13, 14 days. Pick those miles and then stick to that. So there are going to be days you're going to go a little bit farther. There are going to be days that you're not going to go quite as far. You need to add a little bit of a fudge factor in there because missed turns, and you're going to miss turns. Again, during your average normal day, get your 4 hours of sleep. Stop every couple of hours and take some pictures. You see something that's picture worthy, pull over, take a picture. Tell you what's going to happen. If you don't take pictures, you're going to get back to the house talking about this wonderful trip you had, and mom's going to say, hey, show me some pictures. And you say, oh, sorry, Mom, I don't got no pictures. And she's going to spank you, and rightfully so. You need to take pictures. You will regret it if you don't. Always expect the unexpected. Anticipate the threat. Diminished capacity will increase perception reaction by up to 90%. That is a true statement. Now, I've mentioned this a couple times, perception reaction. What is that? It's the interval between the time where something is perceived as needing a response and the time it takes to execute a required response. Let me delve into that just a little bit more. There's a process we all go through regardless of what we do, whether it's riding our motorcycles, whether it's driving our cars, whether it's getting up from the living room couch to go into the kitchen. And it's called an O2DA pulse. Some people call it an ODA pulse. O2DA. It's observe, orient, decide, and act. Now, if you stop and think about it, we do this with everything that we do. I think it was a Colonel Boyd. I think he was a fighter pilot that kind of dreamt all this stuff up back sometime. I forget. I'll look it up. But anyway, everything we do is this ODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. Sleep deprivation comes in. Dehydration slips in. Or hypothermia because you're not dressing right, not eating right. It's going to affect this process. You might observe, but you may not properly orient what you've observed. So that decisions you make that you're going to act on is flawed because you did not properly orient what you saw. Do not flirt with disaster. I know it's a common theme, common thread, but it holds true. You need to take care of yourself. Here again, eat right, get your sleep, hydrate properly, dress right, take care of your body. If you witness an accident or you come up on an accident involving Hoka Rider, or for that matter anybody, call 911. If you carry an aid bag, render aid as best you can. If you are not trained in first aid, then I recommend you don't try to be a medic. If you are first aid certified, then carry your aid bag in your right saddlebag. Don't ask me why, I don't know. Every EMT I know who rides carries their aid bag in the right saddlebag. Even a minor injury can turn fatal with the onset of shock. Okay, as soon as you can, when it's practical, contact HHMC operations and let them know what's going on. Do not wait to write the information down later. Call HHMC as soon as you can. Assist the accident scene management personnel as best you can, but only if asked. If you offer your help and they say thanks but no thanks, then stand back, stay out of the way. If you are unsure of what happened at the accident, do not give a statement. I cannot stress this enough. If you are unsure of what happened, do not give a statement. Just tell them, officer, I don't know what happened. Come around the corner, this is what I saw.
What's your name?
Andy Miller.
What's yours?
Me no speaky English.
If you are sure of what happened, I recommend you do not give a statement. Why? Because an accident can be a traumatic thing, and your brain can and will play tricks on you, especially if you've been going 4 or 5 days on 3 or 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night. Do not give a statement. Get the names of all the police officers involved in the investigation. Badge numbers, what precinct they're from, what city they're from. Now let me back up just a bit here. When you call 911, it's quite possible that whoever answers 911 is 200 miles away, and they have no idea where you're at. So you need to be able to tell them where you're at. Here's one of those times when you pull out your GPS, figure out where you're at so you can tell them where to bring the ambulance. If the rider is transported to the hospital, it is prudent and proper. After being released by the accident scene investigators, you go to the hospital and verify the condition of our rider. We do not leave our brothers and sisters in the hands of strangers. If you are not a close, very close, personal friend or relative of the accident victim, do not call the family. HHMC operations will do this, or the accident investigators. Likewise, if you are involved in an accident, minor or otherwise, if you are able to, contact HHMC, let us know what happened. Even if it's minor, date, time, location, any injuries, personal property damage, whatever, and describe what happened. I got hit by a deer, or I was riding down the road, minding my own business, and a deer came out and hit me. GPS versus safety. Now, I heard a rumor once. I don't know how true it is. I heard it was in 2013. There was a rider that went out there, was out in the middle of the night and took a wrong turn, kind of got himself lost and got all mad and frustrated and pulled out a GPS. He knew he was probably 50 miles from the checkpoint, and he wanted to get there. So he punched in the checkpoint, and he rode to the checkpoint. But he had punched in the wrong dealership. He called up Beth in the middle of the night, ranting and raving because this unprofessional dealership wasn't open, and he was mad, and he wanted to know why such an unprofessional dealership was chosen as a checkpoint. Well, after it was all decided and truth was revealed, he had used the GPS and went to the wrong checkpoint. So now I don't know how true that story is, but it could happen. GPS is not your friend, but there are times that you can use your GPS. We know, after having read the terms and conditions, that it's bad form to use GPS. However, if you are lost, you are low on fuel, you can use a GPS to find a gas station. We do not want you stranded in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night with no gas. So pull out the GPS, find yourself a gas station, get there and get gas. Once you get there, put the GPS away, pull out your map, figure out where you're at, where you need to go to get back on track. If you need to route around a protest or a demonstration, by all means, use GPS to get around that. But once you get back on the glide path, you need to put the GPS away. Bottom line is, if it is a matter of safety, then it's probably not going to be an issue you using the GPS. If it is a matter of convenience, then it's bad form. So, take that for what it's worth. And that's it. Okay. Sadly, I will not be there this year. I am parts elsewhere. Miss you guys, and you guys stay safe out there. or we feel obligated to, how do I word that? Everything you're going to hear here, it is not our intent to listen, that you take. I hope that you. That is our railroad tracks. Railroad tracks. You might observe, but you don't properly orientate, but you may not properly orient what you observed.
And every day of your life, look in the mirror and look yourself in the face and say, okay. And figure out what point in your life you actually believed you are willing to die for your people. If you're willing to die for your people, then you're willing to live for them too. Inside your own soul lives a man that you're supposed to be. Not the one that this world has molded you into. Not the one that you saw in a book and think, I want to be like that man. But there's a man that God made in you. And you people don't become that man until they go to a point where they can't have a choice but to be that man. And that's what the Hokahe was about.